What's going on, guys? My name is John. Welcome back to another video. UFC 268 just wrapped up between Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman, the rematch. And what a card. Was it the best card of the year? I think it could be. I don't know, though, because UFC 269 Poirier Oliveira is coming up in December. That's got Masvidal versus Edwards. Sugar Sean O'Malley's on the card. Amanda Nunes is fighting. That's going to be a huge card for sure. But let's get right into UFC 268, which I believe was probably one of the most entertaining fight cards I've ever seen. You know, it just finished up Madison Square Garden, and it was such a perfect night for Madison Square Garden, and what was advertised as such a big night, it totally delivered. Sometimes these events don't deliver when you're talking about such a big event and you're hyping it up, and sometimes it can be overhyped. This was not overhyped at all, and I'll get right into it. Firstly, man, Valente versus Chris Barnett with a spinning heel kick KO in round number 2. Chris Barnett, I've never seen a big guy move like that, man. Chris Barnett, incredible movement from somebody of that size and that stature. He looks, he's not the type that you would think would be throwing kicks like Cyril Gahn or like a bantamweight, but he is. He threw that kick with such force, and it was actually kind of fast that it actually caught Valente. He did not see it coming. So that was one of the most interesting fights of the night for sure. Such a good KO, man. I almost forgot about it by the end because it was such a good night. But that started off a streak of KOs. And this is all on the early prelims too at the start. And then we had Jordan Williams versus Ian Gary. Gary was losing round 1, I felt. And then he came back with 1 second left in round number 1 and obviously got the finish. Now, I think Jordan Williams was a little bit upset about this finish. He looked like he was complaining to the ref, but it was a good stoppage. He was done. I think he was just upset that the fight was stopped with 1 second left on the clock. That's such an unfortunate stoppage, but Ian Gary proven that he does have some hype to him. I'm telling you, these Cage Warrior guys like Paddy the Baddy Pimblay and Ian Gary coming over to the UFC and causing some waves, man. I'm telling you. Ian Gary's somebody to look out for. He showed some pretty good moments in the fight. His nose got busted early in the fight by Jordan Williams, though, but he did come back and get the win, which is all that really matters. And then we go on a streak of knockouts. So many good knockouts. Quinzo got knocked out. So many good knockouts there. But we will get right into the last card on the prelims. This was Alex Pereira versus Andreas, man. It was a KO with a flying knee. Obviously, it was an amazing fight. You know, after round 1, Alex Pereira, obviously a glory kickboxer, the one that KO'd Israel Adesanya. Everybody knows this. That's kind of what he's known for now. But he's been brought to the UFC, and who knows how he will perform. And I think that his opponent was trying to grapple with him because he knows he's from a kickboxing nature, which they normally don't match up well with grappling, because you saw that with Izzy and Jan Blachowicz. But you can see this now with Alex Pereira. He had pretty good takedown defense. He avoided the takedown in round 1. And then in round number 2, he came out with a flying knee when he needed it the most, man. Beautiful, beautiful shot. And to put him to sleep like that. Great fight. Honestly, it was just so good. I've never seen a flying knee like that live. You know, I miss Frankie Edgar versus, Corey Sandhagen. But this was incredible. Alex Pereira has some hype to him. I'm serious. That middleweight division better look out, because I'm telling you, 185 pounds, he's going to be coming for Izzy. He's going to be obviously showing that knockout. I think he also beat him again by decision in Glory Kickboxing. But anyways, beautiful debut. One of the best debuts I've ever seen from a UFC fighter. That's up there with Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje's debuts into the sport. Speaking of those two, let's get right into those two, man. Starting off the main card with a bang. Fight of the year candidate. It's the best 3-round fight that I have ever seen. It was promised war, and we got war, baby. The fight delivered. It had so much hype, and sometimes these fights, they don't deliver because they're so overhyped. But this was hyped to the max, but it exceeded the max, man. I've never seen something like it. It was an incredible 3-rounder. I think that if there was a 5-round fight, it would have been a finish, and this could have headlined a card for sure. Chandler versus Gaethje, if not a pay-per-view, a fight night. But you know, it was the 5th fight down on a main card of a pay-per-view, so that shows you how good this card was. Obviously, that's because Trevor Whitman had to also coach Rose and Usman, but it's okay because Gaethje versus Chandler, man. I think Chandler won round one, Gaethje won round number two, and Gaethje won round number three. But a great showing from Michael Chandler shows that these Bellator champions are good, and that was really the big thing with with Chandler. Can he prove himself as a top level UFC fighter? Obviously, with the knockout over Dan Hooker in his UFC debut, he was able to do that. And these two are just almost mirror images of each other. Chandler was a couple seconds away and a couple good punches away from winning the lightweight title, and he'd be fighting Poirier in December. Instead, though, he's in a title eliminator bout against Gaethje. Gaethje totally delivered, man. Gaethje's just such a dog. After Gaethje was wobbled, I mean, you guys, if you watch the fight, Gaethje was actually super hurt in that first round. And then later on, Chandler got caught with a bad uppercut in the second round that left him. I thought the fight would be over there, but somehow he recovered. And by that last round, he was just walking through Gaethje's strikes. So anybody that says Michael Chandler does not have a chin does not know what they're talking about. Michael Chandler has an iron chin, baby. Iron Michael Chandler lives up to what he really is, and he is a sick fighter. So happy he's in the UFC now, man. It was probably the best 3-rounder I've ever seen, and honestly the best fight that I've ever seen on a live fight card for sure. And then that's why Shane versus Billy was right after, and it was kind of overshadowed by Gaethje versus Chandler, even though that on a normal night that would be fight of the night for sure. But the crowd was uninterested because I think they're all recovering from the fight before that they just saw. So if Gaethje versus Chandler was not on this card, man, I'm telling you, Shane and Billy would be getting $50,000 today. But it was a great fight between those two. Also, we have Frankie Edgar versus Marlon Chito Vera. Great fight. I think that Edgar was winning rounds 1 and 2. There's some kind of heat between them. And then Marlon Vera, I'm telling you, dangerous man. Only loss for Sugar Sean O'Malley is Marlon Vera. And a beautiful front kick taking out a UFC legend, Frankie Edgar. That's what you need to do to build a career. You got to get the wins over these top guys that have names like that. That's who people want to see you beat. And once you do that, you can be a star. And then we go to Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Weili, man. What a fight, honestly. I believe it was close. It was really, really close. Zhang Weili did a much better job in this fight than she did in the first fight. I think Weili definitely went rounds 1 and 2. And 3 was debatable, and then 4 and 5 went to Rose. So I think it was 2-2, and it all relied on round number 3 to me. I think that was the fight that would decide it. Round number 3, I think, is whoever won the fight. So, because obviously Rose started dominating with the wrestling in rounds 4 and 5, and so I think that round 3 did decide who won. And I personally believe it was. I don't know. It was a very good fight. I can't really call a victor. I almost would call it a draw, if anything. Much like the main event, which we're getting to right now. Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington 2, guys. It was a slower pace matchup this time. It was definitely more technical. There was more power, but there was the same decision. Okay, it was 48-48. It was 48-47 on 2 fight cards, and then 49-46 on the other. I give Usman's round 1 and 2, but after that, I really thought Colby was winning. I thought that Colby won round 3, 4, and 5. I honestly thought it was a draw. I'd go rounds 1 was 10-8, 10-9 to Usman. Round 2 was 10-8 to Usman because of the 2 knockdowns. Round 3 was 10-9 Colby. Round 4 was 10-9 Colby. And round 5 was 10-9 Colby. That's what I'd give it. I'd give it a draw. But honestly, they didn't see it that way. I'd give it a draw. I thought that was the fair one to do. 47-47. It's how I would have scored that card. And it would have just been like Woodley versus Wonderboy, It would have been a draw in Madison Square Garden. And that's how I saw the fight. I didn't see Usman really winning dominantly, like people were saying. It was definitely not a dominant performance. Colby, if Usman is not champion, Colby is champion. We'll have to see. I'd like to see Colby versus Masvidal, Colby versus Burns. Vicente Luque is always out there. Leon Edwards, I think, might get the title shot if he beats Masvidal. So we'll see what happens with that. I really want Colby to get another shot, man. I really believe that Colby is Kamaru's equal, man. Those two, there's just some people in the fight game that have such a good fight for each other. Like they work well together. Colby and Usman work well together in press conferences, pretty much everything. They're not like a mismatch thing where one's boring. They're both mirror images of each other. And honestly, the wrestling, I think that Colby did get a takedown. Some were saying that Usman has never been taken down still today, but I do think that Usman got taken down by Colby. I think that stat needs to be changed from Usman. But what a performance, nonetheless, from Usman. What a performance from the both of them, honestly. That was a fight of the night contender as well. It was just a little bit slower paced than the other one. It was just a good fight card, honestly. I think that Colby and Usman were very close, and I honestly thought it went to Colby. But obviously, when you're fighting against the champion, you gotta keep it up, and I wouldn't let it go to the decision if you're fighting against the champion. So you gotta finish those, just like Rose and Namajunas. Rose Namajunas and Zhang Weili. Zhang really needed the finish against Rose to secure it. You know, you have to have a dominant performance against the champ. They're not always willing to just crown a new champion like that for a pretty even performance from the both of them. But I would, honestly, with the Usman 10-8 round, that 2 knockdown, I think that really influenced the judges. And guys, Colby was bleeding a lot from a headbutt. And so I saw people saying, let's do the face test. But Colby was bleeding a lot from a headbutt, which was not even a strike. So that's kind of out of the question for me. But it was UFC 268 delivered on all stages, man. It was an insane fight card from top to bottom. So many good fights that we just broke down. There's even more on the prelims if you're going to want to go watch those on ESPN+. It was just an amazing fight card. I think that it was much better than Canelo versus Plant. Even though I knew Canelo would win that fight, by the way, guys. Yeah, the undercards definitely delivered on this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be doing a UFC 269 breakdown when that fight card is, when we get a little bit closer to December the 11th. But next we got Yuri Rodriguez versus Max Holloway. That will be the next video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.